The following day unfolded with a reassuring sense of order, the kind Julia relied on to remind herself who she was when circumstances threatened to erode the edges. Morning light filtered cleanly through her office windows as she settled into her desk chair, coffee steaming within reach, her mind already moving several steps ahead. She began with the witness. The call was efficient, professional, and, most importantly, grounded. They reviewed timelines, clarified testimony points, and reaffirmed expectations. The hesitation that had plagued them the previous week was gone, replaced by cautious resolve. Julia listened closely, offering reassurance without pressure, encouragement without condescension. When the call ended, she allowed herself a small nod. This was how it was supposed to feel: steady, aligned, forward-moving. She spent the next several hours immersed in case files, yellow tabs bristling from folders like spines. She cross-referenced bank statements, reread deposition excerpts, and refined her outline for direct examination. The work was absorbing, almost meditative. Each document fit into the larger structure she had been building for months, and with every confirmation, her confidence deepened. Late in the afternoon, she called the court clerk to confirm procedural details, filing deadlines, exhibit numbering, a minor scheduling adjustment. The conversation was cordial and brief, ending with mutual thanks and a clear understanding of next steps. By the time Julia glanced at the clock again, dusk was settling in. The city outside her window had softened, the sharp angles of daylight giving way to warmer tones. She leaned back in her chair, exhaling slowly. For the first time in days, she felt satisfied. Not euphoric, not triumphant, just quietly, thoroughly satisfied with the work she had done. The case was moving. She was prepared. The machinery was humming again. Her stomach reminded her, firmly, that she had skipped lunch. Without much deliberation, Julia reached for her phone and opened the Uber app. She typed in the address she'd memorized almost without realizing it: Little Sicily's Pizzeria. She told herself it was convenient, that she wanted something quick and familiar. She did not interrogate the deeper motivations too closely. Some instincts, she was learning, didn't respond well to cross-examination. The ride over was uneventful. The driver made polite conversation about traffic and weather. Julia responded with courteous brevity, her thoughts drifting elsewhere. When the car pulled up in front of the modest storefront, she thanked him and stepped out onto the sidewalk. Little Sicily's was exactly what she expected. Warm light spilling through the windows, the smell of baked dough and tomato sauce thick in the air. Inside, the decor was simple: checkered floor tiles, faded photographs of New York streets, a chalkboard menu written in looping script. She took a seat at the counter, pulling up a wooden stool that creaked slightly under her weight. When the cashier approached, she ordered without hesitation. "1 New York-style slice," she said, "and a Diet Coke." The food came quickly. The slice was generous, the crust crisp but pliable, the cheese stretching just enough when she lifted it. Julia ate slowly, deliberately, savoring the simplicity of it. No strategy, no stakes, just dinner. She was nearly finished, blotting her fingers with a napkin, when the front door swung open and a gust of cooler evening air swept in. One of the delivery drivers entered, moving with the easy familiarity of someone who had done this routine countless times. He wore jeans, a white t-shirt, and a red and white cap emblazoned with Little Sicily across the front. It was Brian. Julia's breath caught before she could stop it. He didn't see her at first. Focused on the register, Brian handed over a small wad of cash, exchanging a few quick words with the cashier as change was counted out. He moved with quiet efficiency, the same unassuming competence she remembered from behind the wheel. Julia sat frozen, her half-empty plate forgotten. She watched him with an intensity that surprised her, noticed the faint stubble along his jaw, the way his shoulders squared as he tucked the receipt into his pocket. It took him a moment. Then, as if sensing something, Brian glanced toward the counter. Their eyes met. The recognition was instantaneous and fleeting. There was no surprise on his face, no flicker of acknowledgement beyond the briefest pause. He gave her nothing more than a glance, then turned away, collecting 2 pizza boxes and the delivery slip for his next run. Without a word, he headed for the door. It closed behind him before Julia could even think to stand. For a heartbeat, she sat there, stunned by the speed of it, by the completeness of the dismissal. Then something sharp flared inside her, an instinctive, reflexive indignation. The nerve, she thought, the attitude. To ignore her like that, to treat her as if she were invisible. She caught herself mid-thought. High-profile attorney, a voice in her head supplied, dripping with irony, as if that explained anything. Heat rose to her cheeks, not from anger alone, but from the sudden, crushing awareness of how easily she had slipped into the very posture she'd been questioning. Pizza boy. The phrase surfaced unbidden, ugly and unfair, and just as quickly, shame followed it. She stared down at her plate, appetite gone. Just days earlier, she had reduced Brian to a function, a service, a means of transportation. She had dismissed his attempt at kindness as creative, unwarranted. And now, having tracked him here under the guise of concern, she'd bristled at being afforded the same cold efficiency she herself had delivered. The guilt pressed heavier than before. Julia paid her bill, left the counter, and moved to a small table near the wall where she could see the door clearly. She folded her hands together, then unfolded them. Her heart beat faster than it had during any argument that day. He would be back, she reasoned. Delivery drivers always came back, and when he did, she would speak to him. Not as a client, not as an attorney, but as a person who owed another person something long overdue. She committed herself to waiting.